So you'll notice I do a couple things when I pull out the hive. I never go to the outside frame. I never start in the middle. So you always want to start, this one's always the hardest, the outer frame, or number 10 or number 1. So we usually try to do 2 or 3, because if you do to the middle, you run the risk of damaging the queen or killing the queen if you have to sort of finagle these frames out a little rough. So we always start with a couple frames in. If I see eggs that has definitely had a queen in the last 3 days, and then the larval stage is 6 days. So if I see a 1-day-old larva, or 2-day-old larva, I can actually go back in time and figure out, what the queen's been doing, and or figure out in the hive where she's been. So that's what I'm really looking for, is signs of larvae and eggs. What I'm doing is trying to help her reorganize, because what you want to see is the brood in the center. So I relocated all the brood frames so they are in the center. And then I want to see honey stores on the outside and or food frames. So I also want to see the pollen on those food frames on the outside of that. And so hopefully what that'll do is give the hive a chance to keep that center core brood really warm so they can develop properly. And in this case, to allow this queen to have some room to lay eggs. So this is smoker fuel is kind of fun. It's like very personal what people use for smoker fuel. I'm using a combination of pine straw and these sumac, these little sumac heads. And so what the sumac does is it burns really cool and it smells really good, because I don't like the smell. I want us to be campfire all day. And then of course this burns really well because of the resin in it, so it's an easy start. So what this does is it a couple things. So it masks chemicals in the hive, so the bees basically are a little bit calmer, so you aren't going in just completely blind and they're not doing a defensive mechanism for you. And the other thing it does is it's kind of fun to think about, but it mimics this fight or flight response, because the bees think their house is on fire, so they go down and gorge in honey instead of wondering what you're doing. We don't want to keep hives open for too long in the fall, because there is so much robbing that happens, because the resources are scarce this time of year, and also because of the drought. It's been really hard on bees, to get enough nectar. And so when you leave the hive exposed like this, it's an opportunity for other bees to come along that aren't part of this hive. As you can see, this bee is a good example. It's trying to get that bee off there, because that's not a part of this hive, to come in and try to steal resources from this hive, rob it. And we don't want that to happen.